soon as a disaster hits, the first thing they want to do is they want to jump in and help.
Lane Line now, welcome back. It is well known that truck drivers are among the most generous people you'll find out there, which is why when disasters strike, so many of them want to step up and help those in need. There are a lot of ways to do that, of course, including hauling loads for FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. If you want to do that, however, there is a process that you need to follow. And joining us now to answer any questions you might have about this issue are Jim Jefferson and Charles Sperry. Jim is the Regulatory and Compliance Supervisor for OOIDA's membership department, and Charles is a research analyst with the OOIDA Foundation. Gentlemen, good to see you.
Likewise. Good to see you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here. We got a lot to cover here. And Jim, I want to start with you on this issue. We were talking earlier, when something like a hurricane hits, wildfires, name a disaster out there. When it happens, I know you get quite a few phone calls from people, from truck drivers who want to help. They want to carry loads in there, and it happens a lot, right?
Yeah, it does. All the time. As soon as a disaster hits, the first thing they want to do is they want to jump in and help. Hey, I'm ready to go. What do I need to do? So the process is you have to be registered. You can't wait for a disaster to strike and then think you're going to get a load. You've got to go through the process. There's a step-by-step process that does take time to get registered. And as long as you follow that process, then you're ready to go when a disaster happens. If you wait until the hurricane hits, you're not going to be qualified to get a load at that point.
And that's typically when you do get those phone calls, right, is right after Hurricane Helene or one of these disaster strikes.
Right.
You tell them, hey, that's great. However, you missed the boat on this one, at least for this year.
Right, absolutely. Typically, you're going to register sometime around February, and the year starts July 1st and runs from July 1st to June 30th of the next year. And you have to be registered with them and submit all your documentation through the full process before you can get a load. Now, there's other loads that are going to be posted out there. People will post those loads out on the load board. But the problem that you get into with that is if you're not the FEMA agent, if you're not getting it from FEMA, getting paid could be challenging.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
You don't want to do this totally out of the goodness of your heart. Obviously, you want to be compensated for your time and your effort there. Charles, the OOIDA Foundation put out a great email recently, and I know you worked on it there, essentially laying out the process that people need to go through if they want to haul FEMA loads. And the reason, as Jim kind of alluded to there, the reason this is going out now is we've got deadlines that people are going to need to meet here in the coming weeks, right?
Yes, that's correct. So one of the good dates to pay attention to is that February 3rd Industry Day that FEMA puts out. That's going to be where they take people and they kind of walk them through the whole process. There's a six-step process to go ahead and get yourself registered to get these loads, and that's February 3rd. You can sign up for it online, and it's quite easy to sign up for. But, yeah, they walk you through that process, which can be a little bit complicated and does, like Jim said, take time. It can take up to 9 weeks for a first-time applicant to go ahead and go through the whole process. Just because of wait times, you submit some paperwork, and then you wait 3 weeks, and then you submit some more paperwork, and you wait another couple weeks.
It is the government we're talking about here, so... Yeah.
True. Nothing happens fast.
And that's a good point, though, too, Charles, because there are a number of requirements that you do have to make sure that you're, checking all those boxes. What someone going into this completely blind, they've never done it before, what kinds of things are they going to be asked for during the process?
Well, like I said, it's a 6-step process. One of the first things that they want you to do is go through the program guidelines and certify that you've read through it all. And you think that it would just be a page or two. It's not. It's many pages, and
it is the government we're talking about. I'll repeat that again.
Yeah. And then you have to register with their system for award management. It's on sam.gov, and they have several things that you need to go through there. It is free. The registration is free. This whole process is free. So don't listen to anybody that says, I'll help you through the process for a small fee. No, they're just trying to get money out of you.
And there's a lot of those companies out there that will do that. They're assistance is what we will help you get this for a fee. But the SAM registration, like he was talking about, it could take 15 days or longer just to get that first step processed. So you're at step 1 and you're already 2 weeks or more into the registration process.
Right.
Yeah. The third step here, well, depending on how you're counting the steps, according to their counting, it's the third step here, is you upload your documents to the FEMA STOS team, which that's their transportation services team, and you go ahead and you will get an accord form from your insurance provider, basically testifying that you have a minimum of $300,000 of cargo insurance. And then there's several other documents that they'll require you. Again, as you're going through the process, they'll list off the different documents that you need.
Right.
An SCAC assignment letter issued by the NMFTA, pardon me, and some transportation service providers agreements.
So be expected to fill out a bunch of paperwork.
There's a bunch of paperwork and stuff like that you have to go through.
Now, Jim, are there certain people? I imagine this is not for everybody. Is there a particular type of carrier out there? Particular type of operation that this is maybe more fitted for when they're looking at doing this kind of thing?
I mean, it's open to anybody. So any carrier that's out there can sign up. But in some cases, I mean, it takes a lot of time. And you get a load going into a hurricane area, you may get down there and be stuck for a while.
Right.
So it depends on your operation and how much time you have available. Are you going to be compensated? Sure. But again, it's the government.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're going to be compensated tomorrow for a load that you run today. It's going to take time for that to process as well. So, if you've got the time and you've got the extra trucks that you can commit to it, it's definitely a good revenue stream.
Yeah. And I mean, with anything in life, there are going to be pros and cons to it. And Charles, the foundation's email that went out, I thought had a really good kind of bullet point list of both of those things. And I'll open this up to both of you here, but someone out there listening, and again, you get these calls all the time, Jim, but someone listening right now and thinking, hey, I would like to be ready to go, in the summer if something happens, and I want to make myself available for that. Can we go over kind of the pros of being part of this, and why it would be beneficial for somebody to do it? Obviously, you're doing some good, you're helping people. That's a huge one, obviously, but beyond that, what kind of sticks out to you as being a pro here?
I mean, one of the things that sticks out to me from the compliance side is you've got a good revenue stream. It's money coming from the government. As long as you follow the registration process and you're a registered agent with the government, you're going to get paid. So it's definitely a good avenue for business, especially with the trucking industry being the way that it's been and rates for the loads have been down. It's definitely something that can assist with the financial side.
Yeah. And the rates for these kinds of loads do tend to be above average because, of course, you're dealing with inclement weather, dangerous situation. It could be there's a lot of potential complications, shall we say. So the payment is above average because of that. Some of the other things that we were talking about, there is a wide variety of loads available for all sorts of different operations. They've got truckload, they've got LTL stuff, they've got intermodal, they've got transportation for like temporary housing units, so like oversized stuff, and just all sorts of things. There's especially a lot of work, it seems, from what I've been able to research, a lot of work for flatbedders because especially when it comes to like reconstruction efforts, guess what? You need equipment, you need materials, you need supplies. So lots of that kind of work going into disaster areas.
Yeah. Yeah, so it doesn't matter what it is that you haul, whatever your specialty is. I mean, there's going to be something available for you,
right?
As long as you're registered. That's the key, is getting registered,
right? And as you pointed out, it is a process. And if you do, I want to reiterate this because I think it's important. Because again, the phone calls that you get, if you want to do this, it could be in October, November. Calling after disaster hits isn't going to do you any good. You got to do the process now, kind of looking ahead throughout the course of the next year. And then the year after that, if you want to do it again, you got to go through the process again, right?
Yes, you have to
Yeah.
register every year. So
Yeah.
if you've registered, don't think that that's going to be it. You have to fill out this paperwork every year to stay compliant. If you don't fill out the paperwork, you get to the end of the registered year and they will drop you. You'll no longer be eligible. And by that point, it's too late to re-register. You'll then have to wait for the next year's open registration.
The nice thing. Oh, sorry.
So the registrations typically open somewhere in early February, and
Right.
you've only got about a month and a half of the registration process
Right.
to get registered. And it does specify a specific order. If you don't do everything in order, it will kick your application out. So if you haven't filed for the SAM registration first, when you get to the next part, it's going to kick it out because you don't have that registration. So it's important to follow the process that they have set up.
For sure.
Yeah. The other nice thing, though, if you are not a first-time registrant, you don't have to set up your accounts anymore. Like the process is going to be a bit smoother,
Sure.
and it will take less time and a bit less effort on your part. So once you get that first-time registration done,
Once you endure it,
yes,
all the blood, sweat, and tears from
Yeah.
that, for sure.
it should be a little smoother after that.
You know, we talk about the pros of this. I think it would be beneficial for people to kind of hear the other side of it, the downsides to maybe doing this. I know there are more stringent requirements, for compliance and things like that. But can you talk a little bit about something that you might say to somebody as not a warning per se, but just a, hey, keep this in mind if you're looking to do this?
Well, one of the things is going to be the amount of loads, the time that those loads are available. I mean, you got a limited window for this. I mean, the loads are going to be available once the hurricane or whatever the disaster is taken care of. That revenue stream and those loads are going to go away. So it's a limited opportunity. And it's very strict on how you apply to get that opportunity. So, I mean, it's strict and it's limited as part of the downside to the benefits that are out there.
Yeah.
If your operation isn't set up in a somewhat flexible manner, then that could be a real problem because, you never know when this is going to pop up. And if you have routes that you're just regularly running, like you've got a schedule, you got to kind of keep to it. This may not be for you because, this will completely disrupt your life for that period of time.
Yeah, and for that reason, it's probably, I would imagine, better if you're an established carrier, if you've been doing this for a while and you do have that routine and you kind of know what to expect and you've got a solid business model. I imagine that's probably true for the most part.
Yeah, if you've got a solid business model and probably if you've got a couple of trucks available, because if you've got steady clients that you're running, you don't want to just ditch your client
Abandon them,
that you're currently running to go and jump in here and make a little bit more money for a short period of time. And then when that's over, well, your client has found somebody else to take care of them. So you got to make sure that you have the flexibility in schedule to be able to be effective at this.
Yeah, for sure. And again, the process, if you're thinking about doing this, the process starts pretty much now, right? We've got February 3rd. You mentioned that deadline there. Charles, that's for the virtual industry day. That's going to kind of walk people through, I think, right, what's entailed there.
Yeah, so the virtual industry day will start people kind of get them started on the process. They've also got a February 10th, which is kind of going through the onboarding process specifically. That the February 3rd date will kind of explain what the program is and get people started. February 10th will get them into the details of how they need to get registered. And then February 21st is the deadline to receive the registration forms.
So it's not too late. If you're interested, it's not too late to do it now, but you kind of got to get those ducks in a row here pretty quickly because end of February or near the end of February is the deadline, right, to get everything in it.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So get those ducks in a row. If you've got questions, Jim, we'll give out your personal cell phone number here in a moment.
Absolutely.
Or you can call the OOIDA offices at 816-229-5791 and ask for compliance there. They'll help you out. We're going to have those links to these webinars on our website, landlinenow.com, and the OOIDA Foundation. Always putting out good stuff. Jim, Charles, we appreciate your time as always.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, thanks for watching. To stay up to date on the latest in trucking news, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell to be notified of new videos when they come out each week.